Hello, everybody. My name is Olga Winzenried. I'm originally from Russia, but I'm living here in America, in Wisconsin state. And currently, I am an expert and lecturer for people who are interested in a healthy style of life and who would like to prevent the diseases. 10 years ago, some irreparable losses happened in our family. And I realized that I need to find some more effective ways to treat diseases, especially cancer. And it was a time when I found Dr. Lodi. He was a director in a clinic and oasis of healing in United States. So Dr. Lodi pioneered in an integrative approach to cancer treatment. And he's doing that with a very gentle and effective way. He is currently residing in Thailand. He built the clinic there. And Dr. Lodi, known not only like a doctor, good doctor, but also like a lecturer and consultant for people, especially in Asia, Europe, and United States. He participated in almost all of the events when they teach people how to stay healthy, how to prevent some diseases. And the latest was an event of Ty Bollinger. It was exactly this week. The name of this event was the quest for the cure. So it was really very interesting to see this event, to listen to this event, and especially the part of what Dr. Lodi told about that. It was interesting when he told about Japanese people, that those people do not have invasive cancer, and the problem was what they help them, it's iodine, what they get from seaweeds. So I have a privilege today to interview Dr. Thomas Lodi. Dr. Thomas Lodi, welcome, and thank you so much for coming on our anti-cancer conference. How are you today?
I'm great, thank you. Thank you.
Good, good. Okay, and could you tell us a little bit about yourself? How did you get in a holistic approach of medicine, and especially how did you get interested in integrative oncology? Could you tell a little bit about that?
Sure. Well, thank you, and thank you for inviting me to talk today. Yeah, that's very nice. Well, before I went to medical school, I knew that the methods of doctors were not healing methods. I knew that they were. I already knew before I went to medical school that it was poison, that they poison people, and that they're effective in many ways. Like, for example, surgeries. If you have, if you get a wound, if you have a big wound, you need to be healed. You break a leg, your baby is coming out feet first. You can't, there are things that you have to operate on. You have a tumor that's really large, or a tumor in the brain. There are situations where it's very, very important to be able to have those skills. But for the average person who has what are called chronic diseases, and by the way, I can't use that word. It hurts me to say the word. So I won't say it. No, there's no such thing as disease. And maybe we'll discuss that in a moment. But anyway, people have these chronic conditions. Um, there's no poison doesn't help at all. So I knew this. However, I went to medical school, and when I came out, I worked for 10 years as a normal doctor in intensive care units, cardiac care units, and internal medicine for about 10 years. I also did a lot of urgent care, because urgent, emergent care, and ICU care. The reason I liked those kinds of work was because the person was very, very sick, and you could either help them or not, right? They weren't, it wasn't a chronic,
Right.
it wasn't a chronic condition, it was an acute condition. But even after 10 years, I realized that we weren't really helping people, because we weren't teaching them how to avoid these kinds of problems in the future. We weren't teaching them how anything about health and life. So I left and I trained. I went around the world. I went to Japan, I went to Mexico, I went to Europe, and I went throughout the United States, and I studied with people who were doctors, but they had a different approach. And I learned. And then after learning that, I came back to the United States in the year 2000, and I started what I do now, which is integrative oncology. So prior to that, for 15 years, I was doing internal medicine, intensive care medicine, like that, right? It's conventional. 21 years, integrative oncology. So anyway, so the reason I left and the reason I did this is because it just didn't work. We weren't really helping people. They kept coming back. Even if you fix them, help them get better, they came back. And so what were we doing? It was just, to me, it was like a factory, just making money. And that's not why I went to medical school. That's not why I went to become a doctor.
Yeah, thank you very much. For me too, I realized that allopathic medicine does not help, and that's why I turned my eyes to the natural way of healing. And unfortunately, it was too late for my dad and for my son, but I'm working in this field right now so that nobody would hear the words from doctors, sorry, we did everything, there's nothing we can do, nothing else we can do. So that's why I'm learning this stuff, and I try to help people to know the truth about that. And the second question, anyway, why do people now have so many diseases? It was not so many of them, it weren't so many of them probably 100 years ago, but now, what do you think about that?
Okay, so first we need to define what we're talking about. The idea of disease is it's a false idea. The idea of disease is that there is something external to us, and it gets into us. Like, and for example, we think of like the germ theory. The germ theory says that there's a bacteria out here, and the bacteria gets into your body, or a virus gets into your body, and it will kill you or hurt you, and you must get rid of it. That's the fundamental idea, the premise. So that germ theory also comes from the disease theory, and the disease theory is that there is a third party, me, right? And then there's the disease that's going to come into me and kill me. So like diabetes is a disease, right? High blood pressure is a disease. Arthritis is a disease, right? So where is it? If I have diabetes, where is it? How did it get to me? Where did it come from? What is it that I have to get rid of? There is no it. There's no it. What we call diabetes is the body trying to adapt in order to survive, because I'm eating bread, pasta, cake, rice, and sweets. I'm eating those kinds of things. When they go into my blood, they turn into glucose, and my body has wisdom. My body has the wisdom of God. So it knows that if it gets that much glucose into the cell will die. So the body becomes insulin resistant. All the cells become insulin resistant to protect the cells from being poisoned by the glucose. All right. So that's not a bad thing. That's a good thing. It's a necessary thing. And so we understand that everything the body is doing, it's doing it because it's necessary to maintain function, to survive, to maintain what is called homeostasis. And the same thing with high blood pressure. The blood pressure is going up to maintain the blood flow because there's a problem with arteries, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Whatever you're talking about is the body adapting to an unfortunate situation. And how do you know this is true? Well, if you look at the wild animals who never meet humans, right? And never, like in Alaska, the polar bears or the seals or animals or birds in the Arctic or deep jungle. They never meet humans. They don't get heart attacks. They don't have stroke. They don't have arthritis. They don't have insomnia. They don't have cancer, right? Now, unfortunately, the humans have poisoned the entire earth. So even the wild animals are having problems because they're eating plastic. They're eating chemicals, right? And it's getting into, right? When they do autopsies on polar bears who are eating the seals and eating the fish, they find PCBs and other kinds of chemicals in their fat, and they never, so unfortunately, now the entire earth is poisoned. But anyway, for the most part, the animals in the wild do not get what we call degenerative diseases, right? Which are diabetes, cancer, hypertension, all that sort of thing. Why? Because they don't need to adapt. Why don't they need to adapt? Because they are eating and sleeping and doing everything according to their nature, because they live under instinct. Okay, they don't have cultural ways, culturally. If you're culturally in the Middle East, the culture is you eat dinner about 9 p.m., 10 p.m. You go to bed around midnight. This is the culture. So culturally, that's normal. Okay, well, it's not biologically healthy. It doesn't satisfy our biological needs. The same in Europe. In Europe, in the summertime, right? It gets dark at 10 p.m., 9 p.m. It gets dark. So people are eating dinner late. This is not physiological, because human beings we arose out of the tropics, right? We didn't, just like chimpanzees and gorillas do not naturally live in Germany, do not naturally live in Alaska, do not naturally live in Russia. Okay, not naturally. Only in zoos where we put an artificial environment, but that's not where they come from. So we are in that group of species. And so we belong in the tropics and subtropics. That's where we thrive. That's where we get lots of sun, which, as you know, gives us vitamin D. We get lots of oxygen, clean water. There are lots of plants and fruits, and we would eat those naturally. Our hands were not designed to kill. If I want to eat an animal, I can't kill the animal. I'm not capable. I wasn't equipped by God. I wasn't equipped by nature. I have to get a tool, a weapon. I have to make a weapon to kill the animal because my body's not made. But all other animals who were designed to eat animals, like bears, lions, dogs, they can do it. They don't need any weapons. They are the weapon. Okay. So what can my hands do? They can pick fruit. They can plant seeds. Yes. I can plant trees, right? I can play music, right? I can do writing. I can touch other people. I can touch nature. Our hands were made for delicate interactions with nature. Our hands were not made for violence. Okay, the violence. So in fact, I really think that if everybody ate, starting tomorrow, if everybody ate only the food that the earth produced and didn't do anything to it, except maybe wash it. In other words, we eat food in its natural state, that all the problems on earth would go away. That sounds crazy, but it only sounds crazy because most people haven't thought about it. So take some time and think about it. That means that would end. I mean, let me ask you a question. If you're hungry and you're in the jungle and you have no clothes on, right? You're naked in the jungle and you're hungry, what are you going to eat?
Of course, fruits.
Right. And if you see if you see a wild pig, are you going to chase it and start eating? You know, it's in fact, a wild pig does not look attractive to us. Think about it. A baby, if you have a baby and you have a baby laying on its back, right? And you hang, we always hang little balls or red balls or orange ball, like an orange, an apple, things like that is naturally attractive to a baby, right? And if you put a baby rat, if you put a little rabbit, a soft, cute little rabbit with the baby would not think to eat it. It would play with it. And if it saw the apple, it would lick the apple. So these are our instincts. But what happened is our instincts get perverted by culture. The culture changes our instincts. And so you grow up and you become a good Russian, a good Yugoslavian, a good Turk, a good African, a good American, a good Australian, a good Chinese, a good Thai, but none of them are natural. Every culture is an abomination before God. I mean, I know I'm radical. I sound radical. But the reason I say that is why? Because every culture denies instinct. Every culture does not permit humans to respond to life instinctually. We have to respond to life in a culturally appropriate manner, right? So if you're in Thailand, when you see someone, it's Wadikap. If you're in Japan, it's Hai, right? If you're in America, and then if you're in Europe, it's, that's just an example. If you're a little girl, you can't sit with your legs apart. You have to close your legs. Why? Why? If you're a little boy, you should not cry. Boys don't cry, right? Right? So girls sit like this. Boys are always not crying. So from the beginning, we are taught not to follow our heart, not to follow our instinct. And so by the time we are 3 years old, 5 years old, we are cut off. And our parents have given us stuff to eat that's not food. It's not natural food. So of course, what happens? Our bodies need to adapt. And those adaptations are what we call diseases. So their question was, why so many now? Well, because we have become more and more unnatural. Yes, for maybe 20,000 years, 30,000 years, we've been living, well, it's been different, maybe we've been living with civilizations and we've been having some agriculture. But I think agriculture started about 6,000 years ago, 5,000 years ago. But we didn't have poisons. We didn't have electromagnetic frequencies. We didn't have petroleum products. We didn't have a lot of the stuff we have now. So we have more poisons, right? And we have more stresses, right? We're stressed over being late. We're stressed if our hair is not the right color. We're stressed if we break our nail. We're stressed if, my neighbor was looking at me funny. I wonder what my neighbor was thinking about me. Oh my God. Oh my God. This is what we think about all day long. So, So anyway, that's why we have more problems. Our body needs to adapt to a wider variety of toxins.
Yeah, it makes sense. And on your website, I saw the very nice words about that. You told that disease show us how far we went from the nature.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Therefore, the obvious way to resolve that condition is to get back to nature. So you go back to nature, and the closer you get back to nature, the less your body has to adapt. So we have to change the word disease to adaptations, right? Homeostatic adaptations. Homeostatic adaptations.
Yeah, it makes sense. I was watching one doctor, and I forgot his name, but he told exactly that, see, I have a parrot, I have cat, I have fish in my house, I have horse. I would never feed my horse with the food, for example, like cat. Yeah, I would never feed fish with the food what my dog, for example, eats.
Exactly, yeah.
But people are doing that every day. Every day, they broke the nature, the rule of the nature. And that's why they have so many problems. But anyway, what do you think? What is cause of cancer? Because we are talking about cancer, and what is the problem?
Yeah, well,
there
cancer
is so many cancers right now. Of course, it's the same adaptive mechanism of the body. But anyway, I'm thinking how to tell people what they should do to prevent this.
Yeah. Okay, well, yeah, it's an adaptive mechanism, but the specific adaptive mechanism for cancer is very simple, and that is the little organelles inside of the cell that make energy called mitochondria, right? They take oxygen and glucose and they make energy. Those, if 40–50% of them become damaged, the cell now has to make energy by fermentation. So now it's fermenting, and that's all cancer is. It's a chronic fermentative cell. It no longer can use mitochondria. So that is the problem, which means now, in order to survive as a fermentative cell, it has to make many changes. So the nucleus starts turning on different, expressing different genes and turning off certain genes. So the genes that it turns on are what we call oncogenes, right? And so that's basically it. So, so what do we do to avoid it? Obviously, is to do anything we can to keep our mitochondria strong, number one. Number two, avoid anything that will damage our mitochondria. And they get damaged by all the things we talked about. Poisonous food, non-organic food, processed food, right? Food that is not appropriate for our species, right? Because our body can't use it. I mean, we can use a little bit. If we eat, like if you're going to eat an animal, right? How should you eat the animal? You should eat the animal the way all eating animals eat animals. How does the lion eat the animal? Eats the animal alive, right? Or if you want to eat more like a dog, then you can eat the corpse. So dogs eat the corpse. So if I went to every country at dinner time, and I looked at the table of every country, and I was an alien, right? I would have to think, oh, wow, everybody eats dog food. So this species must be part of the canine species, right? I better do some surgery and figure out how these animals are canines, because we eat dog food, we eat dead animals, and we eat dead broccoli, we eat dead potatoes. We don't eat them the way the earth made them. We subject them to heat so that they biochemically change, right? And then we fry them. We make French fries and things like that. Yeah. It's not food anymore. It's no longer what the earth produced. So if humans produce something, what do we call it? We call it artifact, right? Archaeologists would say it's an artifact, right? It's not natural. So our food is artificial because we process it and all that. All right. So anyway, all of that and the EMF and the chemicals, etc., all of that kill our mitochondria, because our mitochondria are very vulnerable. Okay, and that's it. So what we have to do, if you don't want to get cancer, avoid all that stuff. Continually clean your body. Make sure that your bowels empty every day. And if you don't have maybe 2 or 3 good bowel movements, then you need to have colon hydrotherapy at least once a week, or you need to do enemas. You need to, your bowels, if your bowels are not clean, you cannot be healthy. And if you think going to the bathroom once a day with a small amount of waste, that's nothing. Because how large is the colon? The colon is 1.5 meters. All right, so it's like this. So if you eliminate this much, that means you still have this much inside of you, which is being recycled. It's being recycled. It's toxins. It's waste. All right. So in other words, that's one of the most. You brush your teeth in the morning. You floss your teeth. Clean your colon. Very simple. What time should you go to bed? Well, let's see. What if it was 10,000 years ago? What time would you go to bed? When the sun goes down.
When it's dark. Yep.
Okay. And what would you do all day? Would you sit around? Let's say it was 10,000 years ago. Would you wake up and then go sit on a rock all day? No, you'd be moving around. You'd be doing things, right? Okay. This is that. So you don't have to go to school. You don't have to study this subject. All you need to do is think what your life would be like if you were living in the tropics 10,000 years ago. Then you will know what a natural life is. So if you are living in Germany, for example, you won't have the same environment. So you need to try to adjust your lifestyle to match nature. So even though in July, it's not dinner, you don't go to bed, the sun doesn't go down till 10 p.m. Doesn't matter. You close everything, you put eye patch on, you put plugs in your ear, you go to bed at 7 or 8. You wake up at 4, you do your meditation or your prayers. You read books about healing and health and how the body works, right? And you don't read about diseases, you read about healing and health, right? Right. And then you do exercise. So you take care of your mind, your body, and your spirit by 6 a.m. The rest of the world is just waking up and you're already alive. And now you're smarter, you feel fantastic, and you're going to have more willpower to resist all the temptations of life. All the things that normally make you want to, if you, let's say, eat bad food at McDonald's, eat a donut, eat whatever it is you would eat, that's going to make you unhealthy. In fact, what you'll decide is there's no reason to eat. I'm up, I'm awake, I feel great, and I'll eat later. So if you eat later, let's say you eat around noon or 11, you eat what? You eat food that's nutrient dense, like uncooked, you make raw, healthy, delicious foods. Because there's so much nutrients in it, your body will be satisfied. So you won't have this, gnawing appetite, right? Your body will feel good. You'll have the energy. You got to look at the difference. Go have dinner with many friends and let them eat whatever they eat. And you only eat salad with no steamed vegetables, just salad with everything in it. Now look at 1 hour later. Everybody that ate the cooked meal is going to be sleepy. It takes your energy in order to process it. It takes your energy. You will have energy. You'll be feeling great. You'll be feeling fine. And you won't need to drink that glass of wine to feel good because you already feel good. But because they're sleepy and because they're intoxicated by the food, they need another intoxicant, right? So it's just a vicious, poisonous cycle. And then you go to bed late. And then when you get home, you're on your computer. So you get... I'm not surprised that 1 out of 2 men and 1 out of 3 women get cancer in America. I'm not surprised. What surprises me is not everybody doesn't get cancer. right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, it makes sense. But anyway, if somebody anyway was diagnosed with cancer, what would be the first step? What he should do?
Well, cleanse himself or herself. Yeah, go on a cleanse. You can do vegetable juices. You can get fresh vegetables, cucumber, celery, kale, spinach, lemon, and apple, green apples, right? Or you can use a red apple. You got to make it taste good, but you don't want it to be too sweet. Now, the lemon will help take away any bitterness in the vegetable, and the apple will take away any sourness from the lemon. But you still need those really good nutrients in the kale, spinach, right? And you can put broccoli, you can put bok choy, you can do anything you want, but as long as it is delicious. And instead of an apple, you can put a few carrots. But remember, you don't want to make it sweet. You just want to make it sweet enough so that you love it, so that you look forward to it. Because the condition of our mind while we're eating affects our immune system. It affects our biome. It affects the way we digest and assimilate. It's very, very important. In fact, when we're eating, it's best to be, silent and just focus. You could be playing. You could have Bach. You could turn on Bach or Mozart or whatever, and then just eat. No need to talk about tomorrow or yesterday or maybe or could be or what if or could have been, should have been. Forget it. Just be there at the moment and eat and taste the food and all that. And what is the best sauce for food?
Okay,
The best sauce is hunger.
Oh, yeah.
With hunger, you don't need sauce. In fact, you will taste how fantastic broccoli really tastes.
Yeah.
You'll taste. That's why it's good to be hungry. And most of us never get hungry. We only activate our appetites. And the appetite comes from the mind. Hunger comes from the body. Right? So if you think, I want to eat this, that's an appetite. Hunger is broccoli would be great. An orange would be great. My children used to say they're hungry, and I would give them an apple, and they'd say, no, I want pizza. Are they hungry? No, that's not hunger. That's an appetite.
Yeah.
Right? And so, and that's okay. Listen, here's the problem. We grew up like this. We cannot change 100%. So what you do is 80% of the time you eat and live healthy, and 20% of the time you modify that a little bit, right? Because you have to do that. Because if you're pregnant and you have a baby on the way, or you have a young baby, you have the obligation. Two things. The two things that a parent should give their child. Number one, love. And number two, the gift of health. And the gift of health is not giving them bad habits that they have to break. So if a child never sees anything but food, natural food, by the time it's 5 years old, 7 years old, even when it gets older, when they're hungry, it'll look for a carrot, it'll look for an apple, it'll look for a cucumber, it'll want to eat that, right? Instead of candy, cake, hamburger, French fries, right? So that's the gift, love and health. You give that to your child. That's it. So.
Yeah, I was talking with some woman. She's fostering the children, and she had Mexican twins in her family. And when she prepared something some lunch for them to take to school, and they told, no, it's not a food. What she prepared? Sandwich with something. And they pull from refrigerator the carrot and told, there is a food. There is a food.
That's fantastic. Yeah, exactly.
See, but it's not common for American people. All what I see, it's sandwiches for lunch everywhere. And in the dinner time, it's a big steak or ribs with potato, French fry potato,
or meatloaf. Yeah, it's crazy. Ham. It's
yeah.
crazy. Yeah. Oh, and here, in Thailand, I see same thing. Fried pork. Yeah. So yeah, it is worldwide. It's worldwide. So
Yeah, when I tell people here about natural food, and they think I'm not normal
right.
person.
Well, you're not.
I'm not normal.
That's good. You
But
don't want
for
to
me,
be
it's
normal.
really very difficult to see how they're eating. For example, some party, family party. It's not difficult. It became very painful for me to see
Exactly.
what they're doing.
Right.
And
Right.
then after that, they're telling they went to one doctor, to another doctor, and they have this problem and another problem. How do people don't understand that?
They don't. They see no connection between what goes in their mouth and the way they feel. They have no idea.
Yeah.
They think there's no connection, even though they drink wine because they want to feel the effect of the wine. And they don't realize that when they eat the potato, the baked potato, they don't realize when they eat the French fry that there is an effect on them. So how do you find out? The best way to learn about food and eating is to not eat. Once you have, if you don't eat, you fast, then you eat something, you will understand what it does. So, and that's why the world is made in polarities, in contrasts, right? Up defines down. You can't have a front if you don't have a back. So everything in the universe exists in polarities. So yes, eating is important, but not eating is equally important, right?
Yes, of course. I had I am doing fasting, yes. And actually, I was doing even for my mom. She's 92. She was 92 years old when she started to do that. And she had lots of problems, including really very high blood pressure, what was 220, 200, something like that. She got rid of that with fasting.
Yeah.
With right food. Look at the power of right natural food.
Right.
It's great. It's great.
Right. So keep in mind. So I want you to adjust your thinking a little bit. She didn't get rid of anything. What she did was she got back to being natural. So therefore, her body did not need to adapt.
Yes.
Right. And so now her body didn't need to adapt, and now it can function the way it was designed, which is healthy blood pressure, healthy. Yeah. So we have to get rid of this disease where it's infected. I mean, I grew up with it. We all grew up with it, but it's a false paradigm. The myth of disease. Yeah.
Yeah. See, you talked about that, but it's so deep in our mind that I just did not think, and I use this word, get rid of that. Yeah. It's adaptive mechanism. Yes.
Exactly.
And what is your plan? I know you built a clinic in Thailand, and what is your plan? And what treatment you use in your clinic? Could you tell a little bit?
Sure. Thank you. Happy to. We're opening a clinic in Phuket and in Bangkok. And the treatments, and I've already opened several centers here in Thailand. The treatment is not what we do. So just like, because if you're going to treat something, that's a word that comes from the disease model.
Again, yeah.
In other words, it means you're going to fix something that's wrong. And there's nothing wrong with the body. The body is doing what it's supposed to do to survive. Okay. What's wrong is the behaviors, lifestyle, the mind of the person, which is That's where the sickness is. Okay, the body is just trying to adapt to the madness in the brain, in the mind. So what we do is we call them healing centers instead of treatment facilities. So in a treatment facility, the patient will come in and sit back in a very passive manner and receive treatment to fix a problem that they're too stupid to fix. That's the idea. And the doctor is brilliant, the patient is stupid, and the patient has this disease, and the doctor has the magic potion, and the doctor's going to get rid of this disease. You understand? This is like voodoo. This is like on the equivalent of voodoo medicine, right? It's superstition, right? So instead of that, what we do is we have a center that is a healing center, and the people come and they begin their journey of health. And once you have health restored, the body no longer needs to adapt to anything. So I remember I had a man with prostate cancer, and after 6 weeks, he was with us, and he came to me. We had a meeting. He came crying, joy, and he was saying, "You didn't tell me that my arthritis would go away. You didn't tell me that my diabetes would go away." He was so it's not just the cancer. The cancer is one symptom of the entire process. It's one fruit on the tree. The tree has many fruit. It has heart problems, neurological problems, what we call cancer, and all sorts of arthritis and inflammation. All these things are fruits on the tree. The trunk of the tree is toxicity, toxemia, and the root is lifestyle, exposure, blah, 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 blah. Those are the roots. So if you envision this tree, you understand that these things up here are not the problem. So even you pick all the fruit off the tree, next spring you're going to have a harvest, because if you don't take care of that. So anyway, so at our centers, what we do is we teach people how to live. We help them cleanse, and we have instruction. We teach them what the body is, what it's made of, what is food, how do you get food, things like that. So that's what we teach. And we train them so they learn how to prepare the foods, how to prepare healthy, delicious raw food. We teach them how to sleep, all that. And then a second part of our treatment is that's fasting, cleansing, cleaning the colon, doing lymphatic work, using the beamer to open up the microcirculation, balancing the hormones with biologically identical hormones, all of these things. And then the second part of the program is using metabolic therapies like curcumin, vitamin C, quercetin, all these things that don't have no harm, but the cancer cannot deal with it. For the cancer, it's it causes the cancer cell to become exhausted and eventually die. But we're not poisoning it. We're just putting the cancer cell in a situation where it doesn't have the equipment, it doesn't have the enzymes to survive. Those are called metabolic therapies, and the rest of the cells become healthier, which is important. That's what we do. And then the third part of what we do are different therapies to improve the immune system, to wake up the immune system, because the immune system is specifically and systematically inactivated by cancer cells. They produce certain chemicals and enzymes and stuff that inactivate the immune system, right? So all we need to do is wake it up, right? We don't do what in conventional oncology, they use what they call oncoimmunology or immuno-oncology. Anyway, it's just all nonsense.
Immunotherapy, yeah.
Right. But all those are just a different word for a different kind of chemo. What they are, they're called checkpoint inhibitors, and they block the checkpoints. And blocking these checkpoints is, they think, aha, we can fix nature. No, nature's not broken. Yeah. So anyway, so that's what we do. And we teach people to meditate. They need to meditate to shut off the monkey inside there. We have a monkey in here, right? And the monkey won't shut up, right? And so we need to shut the monkey off, and we need to go to bed. So basically heal. That's it. So it's a healing center. So it's the person's journey. They're not going to sit back and get fixed. It's not like dropping your car off at the shop and you come back later to pick up your car. It's not like that, right? So it's that person's journey. And therefore, when that person leaves and goes back home, they now have the skills to stay healthy, right? Because remember,
because they already understand what is that.
they understand and they have the skills and they experienced it. If you don't have the experience, it's just theory.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I know that actually word doctor, it means a teacher.
Exactly.
And you exactly doing this. You teach people how to stay healthy. It's a great thing. And in a few words, probably, I know we were talking about that, but just to tell a little bit in a few words, what would be the most important message you would like to give to people?
Well, the message would be that our bodies are probably one of the finest aspects or products of nature. Our bodies are nature, and our bodies operate under natural law, right? So if I step out of a building, right, I'm going to fall at 32 feet per second squared, no matter what I do. I mean, I cannot negotiate with gravity.
Yes.
Right? There's no negotiation. If I keep planting tomato seeds, I cannot negotiate a cucumber. Okay, so whatever seeds I plant will grow, right? So I just want people to understand that whatever happening to your body, it's because think of your body as a garden, right? And you're going to plant some seeds, but other seeds are going to fly in from all over the place. And just understand that you're going to have a harvest, right? So don't be surprised when you get that harvest, because it's happening by the law. It's what's called natural law. So if there's any message, that's it. So the message is this, is that have respect for the fact that the body will never make a mistake. It will always do what's absolutely necessary. So if you're experiencing pain or you're experiencing any kind of problem, depression or insomnia or anything, it's because somewhere along the line, laws of nature are being violated. That's the message. And therefore, what you need to do, and you don't have to study, you don't have to get 1,000 books. You just have to go back to living naturally. Take your shoes off, spend some time, at least an hour a day, with your feet on the grass, on the dirt, the earth, right? It's not dirt, it's earth, or sand or whatever. Be out there, be with nature. Go to bed when the sun goes down, wake up before. Just simple, eat food that the earth produces, not that humans produce. So if you do those simple things, every problem, this is a guarantee, every problem will go away. The only ones that won't is 5% of us were born with genetic problems. Okay. Now, if you're able to understand this whole discussion, you're not one of them. Okay, the 5% of the human race that have genetic problems, they don't usually make it. They don't live 15 years, 20 years. And you don't see them in society. They're usually in institutions. They're very, very, very sick people. They're born with genetic problems. The only ones that we see are high functioning Down syndrome, right? So we might see somebody like that. But the low functioning Down syndrome, we don't see, because they're either kept in their home or they're in an institution. So anyway, 95% of us have great genes. So it's not our genes, right? It's not our genes. Okay, so that's the message I would want. And then what is the most important thing? How do you start? How do you start this whole project? You start by doing the most important thing is go to sleep early. If you go to sleep early and wake up and you develop that habit, then you'll have the strength, the willpower, and the energy to do everything else that you already know is right, or you will learn. Remember, sleep early, get up, meditate, and then read about health. Read, right? And I mean, I can supply a list of books. I can give you a list of books to read that people should read, because you might be confused out there. There's a lot of wrong information, sadly. So anyway, and then so that's it. Respect your body.
Yeah, it's a great word. Yeah, respect your body, don't harm your body, but people are doing that all the time.
Listen to it. Listen to it. If your blood pressure is up, it's not, the body's not having a problem. You're doing something wrong. Figure out why you're doing it, right? If your blood sugar's high, why did it get high? There's only one reason. There's not two reasons, only one. Why is my sugar high? One reason. So the best thing you can do about anything is nothing. Stop eating. Stop talking.
Dr. Lodi, thank you very much. I really appreciate that you took a time and came to our anti-cancer conference. It was great. It was great information, and I learned a lot today, and especially about that. Don't tell that it's a disease.
Yeah.
This is adaptive mechanism. Thank you very, very much. And,
you're very welcome. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah.